You know, I'm a safety professional in the trucking industry, and I'm dealing with a company that we were not doing so well with the safety record. As a lot of companies, I think in the last 4 or 5 years as they're coming up on speed, and we're looking at ways of how do we change the business dynamics? How do we change that business model where safety becomes more integrated in part with the business itself? For the first time in the history of the industry right now, because of what's going on at the federal level, in the local level, the drivers and the companies are now married to each other in a way that's never been the case before in the history of our industry. And you take a CSA score, we all understand in the industry what those CSA scores represent, but the public and the competitors and the customers don't. So it's important that we fight hard to get those scores at the best levels that they can be for our business. Our company, we've turned it around 180 degrees, and we've already seen the revenue has already come because of the safety improvements we've made. Safety is no longer a throwaway position. It shouldn't be. It's a revenue position. Our positioning with our insurance groups, our positioning with our customers. We just had a bid a couple weeks ago. Starbucks is a well-known company. They called us asking for a bid, and the second question was, what's your CSA scores? Not current, but the last 2 years. So they're looking at the trending more than anything else. Now, products like what you're offering, I'm looking around and saying, well, how do I train drivers when I've got them from Maine to Virginia, west to Ohio? We're dispatching because of technology, the new world we're in. These studios are proof of that. The new world we're in, where we have trucks that are sitting in a remote location, and the driver goes from his house to the truck, and that's his office. There's a computer there. Well, how do I get those drivers all in one room? We're running 24/7. Our product is mostly beer, wine, and water, stuff that people need in a timely manner. And you can't practically, from a safety standpoint, get all those people in one room without losing a lot of money. How do we get that done? Platforms like yours are the way to go. This is the way of the future, where I can get a guy to go on there. These systems have been used in colleges, they've been used in law enforcement, where I come from, for 20 years, and I think it's overdue in the trucking industry. And I'm excited about what we're going to be able to do with this going forward. I think in the next 90 days, we're going to roll this out, and we're going to introduce it to our drivers, and it's going to elevate the company in their eyes on where we're going. They're going to understand technology is, we're already doing e-logs, we're already doing sensors on the truck, they're already being exposed, but we're going to hammer it home and say, look, you tell me you don't have an email address, I'm going to put a kiosk in every single place where you might be, and we're going to sit you down and make you take it there. You're going to learn technology, because if you're not technological at this point in our world today, I don't care if you're 67 years old, you need to be. And that, I think we all instinctively know that. We cannot have drivers driving around who are just so off the grid because they're not learning anything. They're not keeping up. It's going to help make our drivers more productive. It's also going to help remind them, I always tell my drivers in orientation, I always throw a thing out, who's the greatest golfer right now? Now, people can argue that and say it's not him, but everybody either says it's not him or it is him, but it's Tiger Woods. And I say, well, doesn't he have a coach? Everybody needs a coach, no matter how good you are. You need a coach. And it's not to say that you're doing something wrong. It's just that we all have habits that seep into our everyday lives. And we don't want complacency to be part of the drivers' lives. So this is a way to remind them. If we take one of your videos and we got a lot of problem with guys slipping and falling, or they're not grabbing onto the 3-point, maybe this is a way to get them to remember and remind them and show them, practically with the video, this is what can happen. I mean, I'm trying to do that, but I'm only hitting 30% of my drivers in person. It's not enough. We have to hit 100% of the drivers. There's a seminar I did for safety back in September, and there's a guy who runs around the country that does a seminar, and I kind of stole this from him, and he said I could. But if you close your eyes and think of the four closest people to you, and who would be affected if you didn't come home that night. But then I even escalate that, and I say to a driver, if there's an accident, doesn't everybody else around you on the road that's affected also have 4 people? That web gets real big real fast. This is important. We need to integrate this. We need to integrate better hiring practices, better standards, and keeping those standards, and new equipment. Like our company has invested a lot of money in new equipment. We're proud to say none of our trucks are more than 2 years old, and I think every company should strive for that type of thing, because it just helps us all the way around.